Welcome to the Sophrology Network, one of a kind hub connecting the world to qualified sophrologists. I'm Florence Pasteur, one of the co-founders of Belsi. Today, I'm proud to introduce you with Athina Belsi. Hello, Athina.
Hello, Florence. Thank you for having me.
It's lovely to speaking to you today.
Thank
Um,
you.
Afina, my first question, and I think it's today we are recording on the Women International Day. So I would like to know who inspired you in your life. Was it a woman, a man?
I suppose a few people. The first thing that comes to mind is obviously women, and I do not know why I said obviously. Um, but so I was, but I shouldn't really. I think I should do justice to men that have inspired me as well. So to begin with, I was brought up thinking that everything is possible. Um, Decide what you want to do, you can do it, you can achieve it. Um, One of the core things that I felt as a child, um, and I think I that distilled in my mind as I grew up, not necessarily as I was growing up, not necessarily as a child, but that essence that my parents, my mom, for example, they trusted me to do what I wanted to do. They trusted me to be who I want to be. That was one part of it, and the other part of it was the focus that I had as a child in education, in the sense that education is the one thing that no one can ever take away from you. So facts determine our lives. They determine what happens to us, how we, how our worldview is shaped, how we see things. Things can be taken away from us. I mean, just looking in the last year, earthquakes, massive, things, the war in Ukraine, things can be taken away from us. No matter what happens, education is the one thing which will never be taken, which can never be taken away from us. And so, in that sense, my parents, my mom to begin with, inspired me the same way that my dad, because in my mind, he was always, in his approach to life, he was always a teenager, taking the good connotation of the term. So in my mind, he was always, an eternal teenager. He could laugh about things the same way that he could be dead serious about things. And then I was lucky to be taught from an early age by good teachers, people who inspired me to be better, to improve myself, to learn, to progress in life. So that is, I think, part of who shaped me as I was a child. And then as I started growing and realizing who I am, who my identity is, what my values are, then I started taking inspiration from people, probably women more, who could, and I'm not saying this because today is World's Day, it's a Women's World Day, um, but I think it's because of identity probably. So for example, Mariana Vardinogiannis, she's I think it's a UNESCO ambassador or Goodwill UNESCO ambassador. She's one woman who has achieved a lot of things in her life. She has dedicated herself in helping children who undergo cancer treatments. She has done an awful lot of work for these children and their families. At the same time that this woman is married to someone and she has 5 kids. And a few years ago, I read an interview she gave, and someone asked her, they said, so what is a typical day for you? And she said, I start my day by calling my 5 kids one after the other. And that just stuck with me. Because it crystallized the fact that we can do a lot of things in our lives. We can multitask, we can achieve in different areas as long as we really want it. So in a nutshell, I think it's inspiration for education, inspiration for the will to achieve things. And, everything is possible as long as you want it.
So you
I
would
think I spoke too much.
absolutely. So this is still your mantra in your life. Everything is possible.
That as well as do good, be nice, be kind. For some reason, I don't think things are possible if you're evil and mean. I mean, it could be, and you could have an interesting ride in the short run, but I think you need to be kind. and do good and help as much as you can.
Yeah, I think it's very much it's a great belief, and I think it's definitely recall well with sophrology practice.
Mm.
And Athina, you are a researcher and you are also a sophrologist. So how did you start your sophrology journey?
That's very simple or very complicated, depends on how you want to see it. So it was, as you said, before becoming a sophrologist, my main career has been that of an academic in one of the UK establishments in London. And I'm in medicine. And when I was going back to work after my first maternity leave, I struggled. And I struggled for different reasons. It was, I think, the fact that you're a mom and, you know, I had taken a year away, then going back to work, the expectations of, you know, being as motivated and as, you know, good in achieving what you should be achieving, alongside with other issues that were happening at work at that time. And I knew I wanted to do something aside or on top of my job, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And so I was doing a lot of thinking. I remember having discussions with my husband about other things that I want to do because my first degree is in clinical social work. So I had practiced as a clinical social worker for many years before I decided to become an academic. And in a sense, I was missing the contact with the patients, but from a different side, not what I do in my day-to-day life. And then one day we were living home and he was waving to someone, and I turned to see who he was waving to, and there was a neighbor. And I said, "Oh, I've met this lady in the park the other day. How do you know her?" I said, "Oh, you know, they live there." So we waved to each other. And then that neighbor had kids, had a son, not kids, sorry, a son, same age as my daughter. And then we bumped into each other again. And you know how it is with neighbors when you have kids at the same time and you're new moms. We arranged for coffee. So I went to her place, and that was Dominique Antiglio. And I remember asking her, "So what do you do for a living?" And she said, "I'm a sophrologist." And I was like, "You're a sophr what?" And she said, "Oh, you know, it comes from the Greek words, you know, sophrin, laws." And I know what it means because, you know, I had the ancient Greek at school for many years. And she started talking to me about sophrology and what it means and what it does and the inspiration behind it and the science behind it. And it kind of, you know, the stars aligned and everything clicked together. But I was quite, I would say again?
That's amazing.
Yeah, but I hadn't really decided what I wanted to do. And so I kept revisiting it with Dominique. And I remember at some point I had done a bit of research and, you know, was exploring what I wanted to do. And I said, "So I think I should study sophrology." And I remember Dominique, we were sitting at the coffee shop. She said, "I was waiting for the time you would be saying that." And that was it. And I went and I studied it, and it's been an amazing journey. Um, and I'm only grateful.
That's a nice story. You know, when things happen at the right time, you know, we are at the right place at the right time. It's amazing. And Athina, you're a super busy woman between your academic and your sophrology. Would you share with us what is your best project you are working now?
You mean in terms of sophrology or in terms of?
Whatever you would like to share with us today.
What do I share? Part of me thinks I don't want to share one because I will be doing an injustice to other projects. Well, speaking about sophrology, we have tried with Dominique to introduce students at Imperial, because this is where I'm working, to sophrology. So we started this as a project, and Dominique very kindly offered a few sessions to my students, and we're exploring ways that could be part of the curriculum, but not of the assessed curriculum. That would be part of the well-being things that we offer. So this is in progress. And there are other interesting projects that I do, but I don't know how much I'm allowed to say because we're still in the process of data collection, analysis, and we want to be able to present a few of these things. But what I will say is that all of my projects have a common denominator, which is how we can influence, how we can improve patients' experience from healthcare services, from interactions with healthcare professionals, also from dealing with their own health, which can be physical, it can be also mental. So it's about empowering these people, giving them tools which can be easy to use, can be adaptable to their way of life. So that is the focus of all of my projects.
And is it what makes you the most proud of your job, is having this objective?
I don't know if I don't know if it is so if you're asking about the end point of the projects, yes. So if we manage to add a little bit, a little step in our knowledge of certain conditions and how we can help people be happier, yes, that definitely makes me proud. But equally, meeting students each day makes me proud if I can influence the way they practice, if I can inspire them to be kinder to their patients, to be more caring, to be more genuinely interested in their patients, to be nosy in the sense of wanting to find out more, because their aim is to help their patients. So that can equally make me proud.
And Athina, what is the best advice you would give to your student who just started practicing sophrology, for example?
To focus on the patient they have in front of them. I mean, in sophrology, we may call them client. We're all influenced by the way we practice. So whoever you have in front of you that you want to treat, be genuinely interested in them, listen to them, try and find out as much as you can about the person, about the whole story, see them in a holistic way. And never think that I've practiced all the methods I know, I've used all my tools, what do I do next? I think with sophrology, there are no limits. You can go on a deeper level, you can go further every time you see someone. And trust your instinct.
I think it's very true, Athina. I think it's such a wonderful advice, because a patient, when you start your journey, you often start with the symptoms, and you can be very narrowed. But if you have someone that tells you, start from a wide pitch, start, open everything that is possible, open all the possibilities, I think the experience is absolutely different, and it's a human being between care.
Absolutely.
Care.
And I think there is a massive difference between what, I mean, in medicine we call disease and what we call illness. Because the disease is the biomedical perspective, it's the symptoms, it's the biomedical manifestation, if you want. But for that individual, this is their illness. This is their experience of symptoms. This is how it impacts on their life. This is how it impacts on the way they behave, they act, they live on a day-to-day basis, they interact with others. And this is why I keep saying we need to be holistic in our approach. And sophrology does that. If you allow sophrology to do that, it will do that, and it will go deep. Sometimes it will go deeper than we think as a sophrology leading a session that it can go. But then if you hear your clients or your patients, whatever you call them, describe to you how it felt, you can see how deep you've gone.
That's true, because the consciousness is limitless. So
Exactly.
you've done things, and you don't know how far they grow.
Yeah, I don't think we have realized how valuable an asset our consciousness is and what it is capable of doing if we just allow it to do it.
Absolutely. We are just holding the space for that to happen. And yeah, I totally agree with you. Thank you so much, Athina, for this very special moment.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I really like the blend of, of your journey and your values, because it's really much what is sophrology about. It's from what we start with, our values transmitted by our parents, our childhood, how we grew up, and what we make out of them, and how we conduct our lives, and being really always open to
Yeah,
the.
and absolutely. And one thing I think sophrology can particularly help with is you mentioned the way we've been brought up. And so I think, we are born into a family, we're brought up into that family. and then we're exposed to life and family influence and everything. And we all carry baggage. I don't think that there is one person who has had a childhood that has been completely exemplar in every single way. For some, it's good in some ways and less good in some others. For some, it's less good and maybe good. So we all have a mixture of things that we carry. And then on top of that, we're exposed to society and all the expectations and everything that happens. And I think sophrology is a science that can help you go into your consciousness and choose which of these are helpful to you, are meaningful to you, and you carry them and you progress with these. And which of these things that you carry with you, you might as well accept them because you can't change them in the past, but it's exactly where they are. They're in the past. And you're in the present with an eye to the future. And I think sophrology is an excellent tool to do that. Because not everyone has the time or the money to invest in many years of psychotherapy or counseling. And it's not for everyone. Sophrology can be not an easier, I don't want to say easier, but it can be something that you can adapt to your life. And depending on what you want to do, you can go as deep or not. But I think it's a tool that can help you learn from you and care for you more and love yourself more and progress.
That's all said, Athina.